The day my wife's first love returned, she specifically threw a welcome party for him, deliberately excluding me. Within half a day, my credit card was maxed out. I went to confront her, only to be mocked as controlling and condescending. Olivia's friends publicly shamed me, calling me a kept man who wasn't satisfied. In the chaos, Olivia threw a wine bottle directly at me, hitting my head and drawing blood. Before losing consciousness, she looked down at me, her voice low and full of disgust. "Just die, Robert Peterson. Did you really think I loved you? The person I truly love is David. If it weren't for your money, I would have kicked you out ages ago." With endless rage, I breathed my last. When I woke up again, I was back on the day my wife threw the welcome party for her first love. "Rob, I have a meeting today, so I won't be able to celebrate our anniversary with you." Looking at the message from Olivia, I smiled slightly and immediately cancelled all the credit cards in her name. I knew Olivia was spending a fortune on David, her first love. Olivia used the credit cards I provided to present herself as a successful independent woman. But only I knew she was no executive. She had no real capability, not even decent work experience. After we got married, she said she didn't want to be a free housekeeper and insisted on going out to make her mark. I quietly arranged for her to join a subsidiary company and even gave her an executive position, otherwise, no one would have hired her. Yet, she loved pretending to be a wealthy socialite in public, even claiming more than once that she was supporting me, her useless husband. I loved Olivia very much and never exposed her lies, silently playing along with her performance. But I never expected that what I got in return was her betrayal. She had always loved David, her first love, and was even using my money to please him. If that's the case, why should I continue to indulge her? Looking at the message from the bank, confirming the cards were deactivated, a cold smile played on my lips. I got up and prepared to go to the party location. In my previous life, after discovering the cards were maxed out, I foolishly believed Olivia, telling myself she must have encountered some trouble. But when I arrived at the location of the expenses and opened the door, I saw my wife passionately kissing another man. Everyone around was cheering and applauding. I was trembling with rage, rushing over to confront Olivia. But she publicly humiliated me, saying I was incompetent, a useless nobody who could only live off his wife, and had the nerve to make a scene. Olivia's friends ganged up on me, pushing and insulting me. In the chaos, I saw Olivia throw the heavy glass wine bottle, aiming squarely at my head. I eventually died from excessive blood loss. Because no one cared and no one witnessed it properly, it was ruled an accident. At that moment, I finally understood that Olivia, the woman I deeply loved, had always wanted me dead. Now, I truly wanted to see how embarrassed she would be when her credit cards wouldn't work in front of everyone. On the way, I called manager Thomas at the Grand Ballroom. Olivia didn't know that the party venue she had so carefully chosen was my property. I drove to the Grand Ballroom, and just as I parked, my phone rang. "Robert Peterson, why won't this card work?" Olivia's voice on the phone was anxious and annoyed. "What the hell are you doing? Can't even handle something as simple as providing a card? I'm hosting a dinner tonight. How am I supposed to pay if I don't have money? Transfer the money to me right now." Listening to Olivia's bossy tone on the phone, I chuckled coldly. "Olivia, you want to spend money to save face? Why should I clean up your mess?" The moment I finished speaking, Olivia on the other end of the phone choked up, seemingly completely unprepared for my words. After a brief silence, Olivia said furiously, "Robert Peterson, what kind of tantrum are you throwing? I'm your wife. What's the big deal if I use a little of your money? Are you even a man? If you keep this attitude, believe it or not, I'll divorce you right now." Listening to Olivia's exasperated voice on the phone, I said calmly, "All right, let's go to City Hall today then." "Are you serious?" Olivia froze, as if she couldn't believe her ears. Before, whenever she was slightly unhappy, I would fulfill all her requests just to appease her. She knew I was infatuated with her and couldn't live without her. That's why she dared to be so reckless. But now, my attitude was firm, my tone icy, and it instantly filled her with an unprecedented panic. "Of course I'm serious. It's just divorce." My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "Olivia, we really should have ended things long ago." "Robert Peterson, what are you trying to do?" At this moment, Olivia's voice finally showed a hint of panic, and she yelled at me, "What do you mean ended things? Explain yourself." "Robert Peterson, I'm telling you, don't think you can threaten me this way. If you don't come here and pay right now, we are really over." Listening to Olivia's blustering coercion, my heart remained cold. "Olivia, stop wasting my time. We are truly over." With that, I hung up the phone and walked towards the Grand Ballroom. As soon as I entered the lobby, manager Thomas, who had been waiting, immediately came forward. He respectfully led me to the private suite next to Olivia's and showed me the security footage from their suite. Inside, Olivia's friends were seated together, each looking a bit impatient. Liv, why are you still spacing out? Hurry up and pay the bill. Yeah, didn't you say there's a yacht party later? Pay up and let's go have fun. Exactly, Princess/Miss Fancy Pants. Can you speed it up? We're all waiting. Many people had started to rush Olivia. After all, nearly 20 minutes had passed since she said she was going to pay. A hint of embarrassment flashed across Olivia's face, and she forced a smile, saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I think I left my card at home. I can't pay right away. I've already asked Rob to bring it over, please wait a little longer." After saying this, she quickly picked up her phone, pretending to mutter, "You all know how Rob is, unreliable. I'll go rush him again." Then she hurried out of the private suite to make another call. Sure enough, my phone rang again, the screen displaying Olivia. I scoffed and answered. "Robert Peterson, what do you want? Do you want to drive me to the brink of despair?" Olivia's voice on the phone was clearly angry and pleading. "Think of our marriage. Don't be so cruel." Listening to Olivia's anxious voice, I pretended to be surprised and asked, "Olivia, didn't you say you wanted a divorce? Why are you talking about our marriage now?" "Rob, listen to me. I was just joking. Don't take it seriously. How could I possibly divorce you? You're my dearest husband." Olivia's tone immediately changed, and she started acting cute and trying desperately to win me back. She was extremely anxious now, terrified that I would actually abandon her, and her voice became overly fawning. "Rob, please come quickly and pay the bill. I'll wait for you at the entrance." "No need. You should spend time with your first love instead," I said coldly. "Since he's the only one in your heart, you should be with him. I wish you both a long and happy life together." On the other end of the phone, Olivia shrieked in panic, "Robert Peterson, how do you know David is here? Did you have someone follow me? Robert Peterson, don't overthink this. David and I are just friends. Please don't misunderstand," she desperately argued. "If you're just friends, then he should pay for his own welcome party. I believe a hotshot expat like him can certainly afford to treat everyone to dinner, right?" After saying this, I hung up, giving her no chance to explain. By now, Olivia was in full panic mode. Like an ant on a hot skillet, she paced anxiously outside the private suite, calling my phone incessantly, but I ruthlessly rejected every call. Watching her in such a pathetic state, I finally felt a sense of relief. "Liv, is something wrong? You've been gone a while." Seeing that Olivia hadn't returned, David finally came out, asking with feigned concern. At this moment, the usual elegance and composure were completely gone from Olivia's face. She quickly grabbed David's hand and said pitifully, "David, things are a bit tricky. That jerk Robert Peterson, I don't know what's gotten into him, but he transferred all the money out of my card and got the card frozen. I can't pay at all." Hearing Olivia say this, David's face immediately showed righteous indignation. He said with affected concern, "Liv, that's going too far. He's clearly living off your money. Don't worry, I'll handle this. I'm calling Robert Peterson right now and telling him to transfer the money back immediately, or I won't let him get away with it." With that, David aggressively dialed my number. "Robert Peterson, what do you think you're doing? How dare you just transfer Liv's money? I know you're bothered by me being Liv's first love, but we were college classmates, and you know what our relationship is now, don't you? Transfer the money back right now. I'm telling you, taking someone's money without permission, even if you're married, that's theft." David's blustering shouts came from the other end of the line. Listening to his nonsense, I found it both ridiculous and pathetic. I deliberately pretended to be clueless and retorted, "I transferred her money? What are you talking about? I don't know anything about that. Robert Peterson, stop playing dumb. You're just jealous that Liv is celebrating my return, so you're deliberately interfering and trying to ruin our relationship. I'm warning you, bring the money back immediately, or you'll regret it." David on the other end yelled furiously. Listening to David's childish threats, I couldn't help but laugh. I shot back, "If it's your welcome party, why is Olivia paying? Can't a hotshot expat like you even afford one dinner? Or are you just a broke guy with nothing but a facade?" My words were like a sharp knife, stabbing right into David's sore spot, making him instantly enraged. "Robert Peterson, what do you mean? How dare you mock me? This was a surprise Liv prepared specifically for me. What gives you the right to talk nonsense and cause trouble here? I think you're the one who's a useless nobody with nothing but a facade, with no skills and living off his wife. We've been sick of seeing a kept man like you for a long time." I remained completely unmoved, my tone still calm. "Anyway, I didn't take Olivia's money. Let her ask me herself. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I knew David had always been jealous of me. Back then, he was a player who dumped Olivia after messing around with her. He thought Olivia had become rich by starting from scratch after graduation, unaware that I was the one who started from scratch. As a result, he was jealous that I got lucky and married such a wealthy socialite when he was there first. That's why he secretly hooked up with Olivia again after going abroad, trying to move up. He had no idea that the so-called wealthy socialite executive in his eyes actually had no money at all, and was just a gold digger with extreme vanity, living off my support. After hanging up, I sat leisurely in the room, sipping red wine and enjoying the show unfolding on the security footage. By now, the people in the private suite were quite impatient, starting to complain. Outside the private suite, David looked at the flustered Olivia and said sympathetically, "Liv, I think Robert Peterson is just a thug. He's clearly trying to humiliate you. How about we call the police? Let the police handle this." As he spoke, he deliberately stroked Olivia's hand, trying to take advantage of the situation. Seeing this, I felt a wave of disgust, hating these two even more. But Olivia shook her head, refusing David's suggestion. She knew perfectly well that if the police were called and started an investigation, they would uncover the true ownership of the credit cards. Her carefully constructed persona as a wealthy socialite, built over years, would completely collapse, and she would be utterly humiliated. But if she didn't call the police, she had no way to solve the predicament she was in. Olivia's face was etched with bitterness and helplessness, and I watched her coolly. There was no pity in my heart, only satisfaction. "David, why don't you go back inside and help me calm everyone down? Just tell them I have something urgent to handle and we'll be right back," Olivia said with a forced smile. "Don't worry, I'll sort this out. Maybe I didn't explain things to Rob clearly beforehand, and he's just throwing a little tantrum because he's angry. Once I explain it properly, he'll transfer the money back quickly." After saying this, she practically pushed David back into the private suite, then turned around, took a deep breath, and tried her best to calm herself down before calling me again. "Rob, I was wrong. I know I shouldn't have thrown a welcome party for David behind your back. Don't worry, you're the only person I love in my heart, and your feelings are all that matter to me. Rob, I'm your wife. I've already promised everyone I'm treating. You can't make me break my promise and lose face in front of my friends, can you? You know my good friends would love nothing more than to see me humiliated." She spoke seductively on the phone, trying to soften my heart. But on the security footage, it was clear that while she was trying her best to act cute, her eyes were icy cold, and her expression was even slightly twisted with resentment. "I'm sorry, but we're divorced now. I have no obligation to help you," I said flatly. "Olivia, if you want to host a dinner, use your own money. Stop trying to get it mine. Robert Peterson, do you have to be so heartless? I've admitted I was wrong. What more do you want?" Olivia completely broke down, yelling into the phone. But all that awaited her was my indifference. I ignored her hysterics and simply asked, "You were the one who said you wanted a divorce. I just agreed to your request. Are you regretting it now? If you knew this would happen today, why did you do it in the first place? Besides, I'm not your husband anymore. Why should I spend money on you? Do you think my money just grows on trees, Robert Peterson?" Hanging up the phone, I added her to my blacklist without hesitation. Olivia was completely stunned. She never expected that I would become so heartless, giving her no chance to salvage the situation. After all, just this morning, I was still hanging on her every word and whim, even driving 3 hours just to buy her favorite dessert. She had grown accustomed to being pampered and spoiled, thinking she had me completely wrapped around her finger. Yet, at this critical moment, I turned my back without a second thought, giving her absolutely no face. "Liv, what's going on? Did that jerk Robert Peterson transfer the money back?" While Olivia was standing there in a daze, David's voice came from behind her. He rushed out, looking troubled, and said to Olivia, "Liv, everyone's getting a bit impatient. They're all asking you to come back and pay the bill." Hearing David's words, Olivia suddenly snapped back to reality, realizing how dire her situation was. She was used to being admired and envied, enjoying being the center of attention. Now, she was even more unwilling to have her facade shattered, and even more unwilling to lose face in front of her friends. "David, wait here for a bit. I'll go find a way to scrape the money together," she said irritably. "Liv, it's not just me saying this, but a man like Robert Peterson is completely unworthy of you. He not only lives off your money and everything you provide, but he's also ungrateful, and even stole your money. He's a complete scumbag. In my opinion, just call the police. I know you're kind and want to save his face, but he doesn't appreciate your goodwill. Just let the police arrest that jerk and teach him a lesson." David said softly, gently placing his hand on Olivia's shoulder, trying to comfort her. Hearing this, a flicker of anxiety flashed in Olivia's eyes. She quickly shook her head and refused. David, no. Rob was just angry and said some things he didn't mean. We can't actually call the police on him. If it goes to the police station, it will be a mess. I'll go try to talk to him properly. Can you help explain things to them for me and ask them to wait a little longer? With that, Olivia prepared to turn and leave. Just then, I subtly signaled to Manager Thomas behind me. Manager Thomas understood immediately. A professional smile appeared on his face, and he opened the door and walked towards Olivia. Miss Olivia, are you leaving? Seeing Manager Thomas suddenly appear, Olivia felt a bad premonition but tried to act calm. I forgot my card. I'm going back to get it and will be back to pay the bill shortly. Miss Olivia, your bill at our grand ballroom is over $1 million. If you leave now, I'm afraid I won't be able to explain it to Mr. Adams. Manager Thomas maintained his smile, but his tone became firm. Olivia, what's going on? Why can't we leave? Several friends who had grown impatient also came out of the private suite, asking curiously. Hearing this, an unnatural expression appeared on Olivia's face. Miss Olivia says she doesn't have the money to pay the bill and is planning to leave, Manager Thomas said, deliberately raising his voice. He had already received my instructions and naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to expose Olivia's true nature. Hearing this, the group of people turned their eyes towards Olivia, their gazes full of questions. It's not that Liv doesn't have the money to pay. It's that scumbag Robert Peterson who transferred the money out of Liv's card and got it frozen, that's why she can't pay. David, seeing the situation, quickly stepped forward to explain for Olivia. That Robert Peterson is going too far. How could he do something like that? Exactly. We've been saying all along that Robert Peterson isn't good enough for Liv, and now it turns out we were right. Olivia, if you ask me, you should listen to us and divorce that Robert Peterson. You and David are a match made in heaven, only he is worthy of you. The friends started talking over each other, criticizing me while also flattering Olivia and David. Watching Olivia's pale face, I got up and strode out of the private suite. This kind of drama? I had to join in person. My appearance immediately drew everyone's attention. Their eyes were full of disdain, as if I were an unwelcome guest ruining their upscale gathering. Olivia, as if seeing a lifeline, rushed towards me, her voice anxious. Robert Peterson, you're finally here. The money? Or the card, just give it to me quickly. As she said this, she desperately winked at me, signaling me to play along. But I acted as if I completely misunderstood her, a look of confusion on my face as I calmly asked, what money? Why would I owe you money? It sounds like you're saying I took your money. Are you mistaken? Saying this, I deliberately stepped back, creating distance between myself and Olivia. In my previous life, Olivia must have intended for me to die. Keeping my distance from her would make it easier for me to escape. Besides, I had already secretly arranged for security guards. Seeing me retreat, they immediately emerged from the crowd, blocking Olivia and preventing her from approaching me. Robert Peterson, stop messing around. I'm serious. This isn't the time to throw a tantrum. Olivia completely panicked, her voice trembling slightly. She realized the situation was entirely out of her control. If there was room for maneuver in our previous interactions, I was now publicly tearing off her facade. But at this moment, I didn't even glance at her, completely ignoring her existence. I turned my head and announced loudly to everyone, the reason I'm here today is to clarify something. I never took Olivia's money. She might have been flustered earlier and said something to slander me. I hope everyone doesn't misunderstand. After saying this, I ignored everyone's reactions and prepared to leave. Seeing me acting so nonchalant, David became agitated. He quickly stepped forward and blocked my path. Robert Peterson, stop right there. You think just because you say you didn't take it, you didn't? He looked at me with a dark expression, his tone unfriendly. Liv said you took the money, so you definitely took it. Stop pretending and give the money back immediately, or you'll see what happens. I still didn't look David in the eye, ignoring his threat. I turned to Manager Thomas standing nearby and said, Manager, since these people can't pay the bill, follow the procedure. Call the police. Although Olivia's friends had a terrible attitude towards me and we weren't really close, when I was infatuated, fearing Olivia might be taken advantage of, I had specifically investigated them and knew their situations well. Most of them came from ordinary families, with some ambition but not much, so I let Olivia associate with them. This one meal cost over $1 million. Manager Thomas had just shown me the bill. They'd opened 7 bottles of top-tier red wine alone, costing over $100,000 each. It was extremely extravagant. This one meal, split among so many people, was still a significant amount. Manager Thomas didn't say much more and immediately signaled the security guards to surround the group, preventing them from escaping. Olivia's friends also sensed something was wrong and started blaming Olivia, trying to distance themselves. Olivia's face had turned extremely ugly, and she yelled at me, exasperated, "Robert Peterson, what do you think you're doing? What you're doing is illegal. Do you think I won't call the police and have you arrested?" I watched Olivia's pathetic performance with interest. Olivia completely broke down and shouted, "Quiet." Everyone fell silent. Olivia took a deep breath and said to the crowd, "Don't worry, I won't make you pay. It's not that I don't have cards, it's just a bit troublesome to get the liquid funds from the company." Then she walked to a corner to make a call. I knew she wasn't calling the company's finance department but her parents. But her family was a bottomless pit. It would be a miracle if they didn't ask her for money, let alone give her any. In the past, Olivia's parents would call her occasionally, asking for money under various pretexts. As for Olivia's brother, he had developed a gambling addiction at a young age, often gambling online, losing a lot of money, and racking up huge debts. Now, Olivia's family couldn't possibly come up with much money. Relying on them for a bailout was a pipe dream. In short, Olivia had reached a dead end. I walked to one side, pricked up my ears, and secretly listened to Olivia's conversation with her parents. "What do you mean you don't have money? I've sent a lot of money home over the years. Did you spend it all? I don't care. Even if you have to borrow, you have to find a way to lend me the money. I desperately need money right now, you have to help me." Olivia yelled into the phone, her voice filled with anger and anxiety. I listened and couldn't help but smile. It was exactly as I had predicted. Olivia's parents were selfish, greedy, and snobbish. They wouldn't care about Olivia's fate. Before long, Olivia's parents found various excuses and hung up the phone. At that moment, Olivia seemed as if her soul had been sucked out. She stood rooted to the spot. The phone in her hand slipped weakly and fell to the floor. Coming back to her senses, she saw me standing not far away, looking at her with a cold, mocking gaze. She rushed towards me desperately. "Rob, I really know I was wrong. I've deeply realized my mistake. Please forgive me this time, I'm begging you," Olivia cried, tears streaming down her face, completely abandoning her usual arrogant and cold demeanor as she pleaded bitterly, "Rob, as long as you help me pay the bill, I promise I'll treat you well from now on. I promise I'll listen to everything you say and never make you angry again, okay?" As she spoke, she even tried to grab my hand. But I had long seen through her true colors. How could I fall for her trick? I didn't hesitate to avoid her touch and said coldly, "No need, Olivia. I have nothing to do with you anymore. Your tears and apologies mean nothing to me. Just finish the divorce procedures and stop bothering me." After saying this, I ignored her. I walked to the entrance of the private suite. David and the others were still staring at me with hostile eyes. They were clearly blinded by Olivia's lies and saw me as the culprit. David looked at me, let out a cold snort, and said scornfully, "Robert Peterson, you're absolutely shameless. Stealing your own wife's money? Are you even a man?" I feel truly sorry for Olivia. How could she have been so blind as to fall for someone like you? I couldn't be bothered to waste words on such an idiot. His brain truly wasn't working. Even now, he couldn't see that something was off. It was pathetic. "Miss Olivia, hello. When will you be settling the bill?" Olivia stumbled over, and Manager Thomas looked at her, his tone polite. Hearing this, Olivia's face immediately turned even paler. She still looked at me pleadingly, hoping I would soften and help her out. Seeing that I remained unmoved, with no intention of responding, she finally completely despaired. Gritting her teeth, she said in a voice bordering on hysteria, "You want money, do you? You want me to pay, do you? Fine. Go ask him. Go ask Robert Peterson. It's all his fault. He's the one who took my money. I don't have the money to pay." Manager Thomas replied calmly, "Miss Olivia, please don't be unreasonable. Since you don't have the money, we'll have to call the police. Let the police decide who should pay." "No, don't call the police. Absolutely not." The first one to panic wasn't me, but Olivia. She jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, shouting hysterically, "Are you crazy? If you call the police, won't your grand ballroom worry about people spreading rumors and gossip? And Robert Peterson, why aren't you stopping them? I'm doing this for your own good. If you really let the police arrest you, your future will be completely ruined. Your life will be over." When Olivia said this, there was still a hint of fear and pleading in her eyes, hoping I would take pity on her and let her off the hook. I listened and couldn't help but smile. Even now, Olivia was still trying to maintain her persona. It was ridiculous. Robert Peterson, just pay the money obediently and settle the bill for me. Let's just forget this ever happened. I can pretend nothing occurred. She looked at me, her tone softening as she urgently whispered her plea. But I just gave Olivia a cold look and said to Manager Thomas, please call the police. I trust the police will handle this fairly and clear my name. Olivia's face changed dramatically. The look in her eyes was no longer pleading but replaced by deep hatred. Robert Peterson, you just have to make me look bad, don't you? Do you have to ruin me to be satisfied? Do you hate me that much? Olivia gnashed her teeth, looking at me as if she wanted to swallow me whole. I didn't pay her any mind. Manager Thomas, seeing the situation, checked his watch and said in a cool tone, Miss Olivia, I'll give you 10 minutes to think about it. If you still can't produce the money to pay the bill in 10 minutes, I'll have no choice but to call the police. Hearing this, Olivia completely despaired. She turned and looked at David standing nearby. An idea seemed to strike her, and she said hopefully, David, I can't get through to my dad, he might be busy. Can you pay the bill for tonight first? Your family is so rich, this little bit of money must be nothing to you. Don't worry, I'll find a way to pay you back double tomorrow. When she said this, David's eyes widened, and a look of alarm appeared on his face. David's family didn't have much money at all, they were just an ordinary middle-class family. He himself lived paycheck to paycheck each month. How could he possibly afford such a massive expense? My investigation had also revealed that just last month, David had taken out loans just to maintain appearances. Currently, David probably didn't even have $1,000 in cash in his pocket. Asking him to pay over $1 million to settle the bill was pure fantasy. Seeing David stammering, unable to say a word for a long time, Olivia's heart instantly turned cold, hitting rock bottom. At this moment, she was filled with regret, regretting her blindness and abandoning my 100% devotion for superficiality. I used to cater to her every whim, indulging her completely. She always thought money was just a worldly possession, nothing significant. Only now did she realize that without money, she was nothing. Even the friends who used to flatter her and fawn over her had shown their true colors, now scrambling to avoid her. Olivia then turned her gaze to her friends standing nearby, hoping they would offer help. Everyone, please help me. I can't get through to my dad, he might be busy. I really don't have any money right now. As long as you're willing to lend me some, I'll definitely find a way to pay you back double tomorrow. Olivia said urgently, her tone humble. Her friends looked surprised when they heard this. They exchanged glances, then looked at me, who remained silent. If I had actually taken Olivia's money, she would have been trying to force me to step forward by now. A few sharp-eyed people started to look pale, clearly sensing that something was wrong. The usually glamorous Olivia seemed to be in real trouble today. Maybe we can talk to the manager and ask if we can get a discount, someone suggested, trying to ease the tension. Right. Also, Olivia, you come here often, you must know Mr. Adams. Manager Thomas might not have the authority to offer a discount, but Mr. Adams can surely make an exception. Several people who were usually friendly with Olivia quickly chimed in. However, just then, Mr. Adams, the owner of the Grand Ballroom, walked into the crowd, beaming. Mr. Peterson, what a pleasant surprise. Why didn't you let me know you were coming today? I would have made arrangements. Mr. Adams' attitude was extremely respectful, even bowing slightly. The entire place fell silent instantly. Everyone stared at the scene in disbelief. Mr. Peterson? Had they heard correctly? This man, dressed simply, whom Olivia had constantly demeaned as a kept man, was the owner of this Grand Ballroom? In that instant, everyone understood. Those who had still held fantasies about Olivia realized the truth. It turned out the Miss Tang they had always envied was nothing but a parasite living off a man. No need for arrangements. I'm just here for an inspection, I said calmly, my tone giving nothing away. Of course, Mr. Peterson. Please wait a moment. I'll handle the situation here and then show you around the Grand Ballroom, Mr. Adams said with a smile. Then he turned around, his face instantly turning cold as he said to Manager Thomas, since Mr. Peterson has no objections, we will handle today's matter according to procedure. Call the police. Manager Thomas immediately pulled out his phone and dialed the police. No. Mr. Peterson, please be magnanimous and spare us this time. Mr. Peterson, we were wrong. We shouldn't have been so quick to judge. Mr. Peterson, please, we beg you. Let us off the hook. The people who had just been mocking me were now bowing and pleading desperately. They wanted to slap themselves for being so foolish as to offend this man. David's face also turned ugly. He had originally hoped to use Olivia to climb the social ladder, but he never expected her to be nothing but a facade. Looking at this group of people making a spectacle of themselves, I felt no pity, only disgust. The police arrived quickly. They are the ones involved. Malicious consumption and suspected fraud. Take them away, Manager Thomas said, pointing at David and Olivia. After understanding the situation, the police handcuffed David and Olivia's group. Robert Peterson, you can't do this to me. Olivia shrieked hysterically, I love you. I was tricked by that jerk David. Love me? How laughable. If I hadn't exposed her today, she would have continued to use me as her personal ATM, wouldn't she? I looked at Olivia coldly, not saying a word. To get the divorce evidence, I also went to the police station, and the police took my statement as well.